Hello my dear children. So let's continue with our revision. So we have discussed the first three chapters of our class 11 physics. Today we are going to discuss the most important concept of the chapter motion in a plane. So in the chapter motion in a plane, we will come across several basic concepts such as velocity, acceleration, displacement, etc., which you had already studied in your class 9 physics, and also some of the portions have been deleted. So I am not going to discuss all those basic concepts again. So from that chapter I am focusing on the most important concept, that is motion of a car on a banked road. So the motion of the car on the level road is already given, and motion of the car on the banked road is most important. And this is the free body diagram of a car moving on a banked road. Okay, so banked road means a road where one edge of the road is kept slightly raised above the other edge. So here you can see the outer edge of the road is kept slightly raised than the inner edge, and this is the car which is moving on a banked curved road. And the forces acting on the car is, one is the normal reaction force which acts perpendicular to the car, then the weight of the car mg, okay, and also the frictional force acting in this direction. So here the normal reaction has been resolved into two components, which is the component, one component, this is one component, since this component is adjacent to theta, this is n cos theta, and another component is this, another component of n is acting along this direction, that is n sin theta. And also our frictional force is resolved into two components, and one component is acting along this direction, which is f cos theta, and another component of the frictional force is f sin theta. Okay, so these are the forces acting on the car, and balance and equate all the forces acting on the car. That means solve this free body diagram. So finally you will get the maximum allowable speed that you should maintain while moving on a banked curved road, and this is that velocity expression. Velocity v is equal to square root of rg into tan theta plus mu by 1 minus mu tan theta, and you know r is the normal r is the radius of that circular path or that banking, and g is the acceleration due to gravity, theta is the angle of banking, this is angle theta, then mu is the angle of coefficient of friction, mu is the coefficient of friction. Okay, so this is the expression for the maximum speed that should maintain for a vehicle while moving on a banked curved road. So this derivation is very important. Practice this derivation thoroughly. Next chapter is work, energy and power. And in work, energy and power we discussed about different types of energies, and you already know the concept of work. So we can say a work is said to be done in physics when there is a displacement, and also when a force is acting on the object. As a result of that force, displacement is there. Again, the object should displace along the direction of force. Okay, and there is positive, negative and zero work accordingly. Energy, there are two types of energy, kinetic energy and potential energy. And kinetic energy is the energy possessed by an object due to its motion, but potential energy is the energy possessed by an object because of its configuration or the location of the position. And there we are studying the potential energy of a spring. So this derivation, concentrate on this derivation, refer your notebook to study this derivation. The potential energy of the spring is given by half kx square. So please go through this derivation in your note. It's an important derivation. Potential energy of a spring. What is the expression to find out potential energy of a spring? It is half kx square. And also another important concept of this chapter is collisions. So there are mainly two types of collisions, elastic collision and inelastic collision. So what are the characteristics of elastic collision? In elastic collision, momentum is conserved, total energy is conserved, kinetic energy is conserved. Forces involved in the elastic collision are also conservative forces. But in inelastic collision, momentum is conserved, kinetic energy is not conserved, total energy is conserved, and forces are not conservative. So momentum and total energy is conserved in both elastic and inelastic collision, but kinetic energy is conserved in elastic collision. At the same time, kinetic energy is not conserved in inelastic collision. Okay, so that is a peculiarity of collisions. And also we have found out the expression for velocity v1 and v2 for collision in one dimension. That derivation is also important. Please go through that derivation. And the next chapter is a system of particles and rotational motion. That is, there we are studying the most important concept, center of mass. What is center of mass? Center of mass is a point where all the mass of the system assumed to be concentrated. So if we consider a two particle system, suppose the mass of first body is m1, mass of second body is m2, then the center of mass of this two particle system will be here, somewhere here. And at this point, the whole mass of the system, that means the masses of these two systems, are assumed to be concentrated. So that is center of mass. Next is position vector of a center of mass. So the expression for position vector of a center of mass for a two particle system is important. So for that, consider two particle system. This is the first particle of mass m1, second particle of mass m2, and this is the center of mass of this two particle system. Consider a point O, which can be considered as the origin, and from here draw one vector to m1, which is r1, draw another vector to m2, which is r2, and draw another line to center of mass, which is the radius vector of the center of, or position vector of the center of mass. So expression for this position vector of center of mass is given by r is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 by m1 plus m2. And you know what is m1, r1, m2, r2. So this m1 plus m2 means total mass of this two particle system. So m1 plus m2 can be replaced by m, capital M. And this is the general expression for the position vector of a center of mass. And if we consider x, y, and z coordinates of the position vector separately, we need to rearrange the expression, or we need to modify the expression like this. X coordinate of the center of mass will be m1 x1 plus m2 x2 by capital M. Y coordinate of center of mass will be m1 y1 plus m2 y2 by capital M. And z coordinate of center of mass will be m1 z1 plus m2 z2 by capital M. Similarly, velocity of the center of mass can be written as velocity v equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2 by capital M, where v1 and v2 are the velocity of the particles in the system. And similarly, acceleration of the center of mass of a two particle system is m1 a1 plus m2 a2 by capital M, where a1 a2 are the acceleration vectors of the particles. Okay. And then the most important concept of this chapter is angular velocity and linear velocity. What is the relation? What is the relation between angular velocity and linear velocity? We know that the angular velocity is denoted by the symbol omega, and linear velocity is our capital V. So this is the relation between angular velocity and linear velocity. Linear velocity V is equal to omega cross r. That is, the linear velocity is perpendicular to the plane containing both omega and r. Next is angular momentum and torque. You are familiar with the concept of torque. So angular momentum L is related to linear momentum P. Using this relation, L is equal to R cross P, where L is the angular momentum, P is the linear momentum. So angular momentum L and linear momentum P is related with this expression, L is equal to R cross P, and this is the relationship between angular momentum L and linear momentum P. Just note the relation. You can expect this question for one word. This is also relationship between angular velocity and linear velocity. This is the relationship between angular momentum and linear momentum. And dl by dt is equal to torque. So this is the relation between angular momentum and torque. Okay, the rate of change of angular momentum is equal to torque. So this is the relationship between angular momentum and torque. Listen children, this is the relationship between angular momentum L and linear momentum P. This is the relation between angular momentum L and torque τ. dl by dt is equal to torque τ. And also this is the relationship between torque and angular acceleration. Torque is equal to I alpha, where I is the moment of inertia and alpha is the angular acceleration. So torque τ is equal to I alpha is a very important expression. Also, one more concept I just wanted to discuss. This concept is coming in chapter 5, that is force and laws of motion. That means the movement of lift. So consider inside a lift a person is standing, okay, and his weight is suppose 70 kg. Now suppose the lift is moving upward. So when the lift is moving upward, what happens? Lift is accelerating upwards. So what happens to the weight of the person inside the lift? Yes, when the lift is accelerating upwards, the weight of the person also increases. This concept is very important. You should remember this concept very well. Okay, when the weight is accelerated upwards, the weight of the person increases. At the same time, when the lift comes down, that means when it falls freely, the weight of the person decreases. Okay, so you can expect a question. What happens to the weight of the person in a lift when the lift is accelerating upward, when the lift is accelerating downward? So when the lift moves upward, weight of the person inside the lift increases. When the lift moves downward, weight of the person inside the lift decreases. Okay, so remember this concept. So with this I am concluding my session, today's session, and we will be back with the revision of rest of the chapters tomorrow. Okay children, so take care all of you. Stay home, stay safe, keep learning. Thank you.